An entitled Karen screams at me for apparently faking my disability, which I'm not, just so I can get disability benefits. Here's how it went down. This story happened on New Year's Eve a few years back. I want to preface this by explaining I'm a recovering alcoholic, so I don't drink alcohol often, or to excess, as I am on many medications which could stop my breathing if I get drunk. This was my fourth night having several drinks of the entire year. I may have had a singular bottle of cider once or twice throughout the year, but other than that, I don't drink alcohol as I have a very bad history with it causing thoughts of killing myself. I'm also a wheelchair user who can walk short distances, and as long as I have somewhere to sit down the second I feel pain, I can do other activities such as dancing, chasing my dog, playing with my kids, etc. I have 22 medical conditions, 4 of which involve my spine, and one of my main ones that causes severe dislocations with no warning. I mean, I can sneeze and my jaw will dislocate, or I'll pull my arm in the air to catch something thrown to me and my shoulder will dislocate. I won't give you my life story as I'm turning it into a book, hopefully. However, this particular night, me and my new husband got ready to go out. We didn't want to go somewhere packed if possible, so we went to a local bar. We had a couple drinks and a shot each before leaving the house, so I was buzzed, but not even tipsy by this point. We get to the bar at around 10 p.m. and are surprised to see they have set up a dance floor. So my husband gets us a drink each and we sit and chill. We have our first drink whilst watching people dancing on the dance floor. The alcohol has a pain-relieving effect on me, and I beg my husband to get up and dance with me, and to my utter surprise and shock, he actually says yes. It usually takes a lot, me pleading with him as he has social anxiety, but for whatever reason this particular night, he is up for it. We get another drink and start dancing. Now I'm not gonna lie, we were at times dancing rather provocatively when songs like Sexy Back or It's Getting Hot in Here and the likes came on, mixed in with some regular fun dancing and dancing girly style with a group of old ladies, with me stopping often to sit in my wheelchair and gather my strength up to get up again. Each time I sat down, I had a sip of my second drink, so by this point, I'm getting tipsy. After one particularly rude dance, yes, I know we're terrible, entitled woman came storming up to me telling I was an utter disgrace and utterly disgusting. I assumed it was because of my dancing and responded, sorry if it was distasteful, but it's New Year's Eve, we're just having a bit of fun. And she started screaming in my face that I was disgusting for obviously faking my disability. I obviously didn't need a wheelchair if I could dance. I'm obviously just claiming disability benefits fraudulently. I am bringing a bad name to true disabled people, etc. Now I also have severe anxiety during confrontation due to past history of abuse and bullying, and I'm very anxious about my disabilities as it is. I sputtered my words and started tearing up while trying to explain my disability to her, but she refused to listen. She just kept screaming at me, so my husband got in the middle of us and asked her to go and sit down. He is very good at diffusing situations, and she went and sat with her husband and just glared at me from her seat, trying to burn holes into me with her gaze. My husband told me to go and inform the bar staff of what happened, while he went to speak to the woman. So I went over and asked for a manager. I was very polite to begin, and explained the situation and what had just happened. I wasn't even asking her to ask the person and her husband to leave, just for her to ask the couple to leave me alone as I didn't feel safe. The manager got on the defensive, protecting what I assumed were regulars at the bar. She started stating that maybe I shouldn't be dancing if I didn't want people to get the wrong idea, that she didn't see the confrontation, even though it was right in front of the bar and I could see her watching, and I got so upset I started to cry. She said she had received complaints about the way we had been dancing, though we weren't the only ones, and that there were children in the pub who didn't need to see that. So now I got on the defensive because, as I stated, we were not aware of any kids prior to this. We weren't the only people dancing like that, and children shouldn't have been in the bar after 9 p.m., New Year's or not. There were many people slurring their words, stumbling drunk, and that's not a safe environment for children. Just to add, I was shouting, but not at her, just towards her as it was very loud. However, due to my tears, it may have been misconstrued. My husband spotted the manager now shouting at me. I'm guessing it was due to the stress of New Year's, with the added stress of this complaint just coming to a head. Now my husband had had a couple more drinks than me, as I spaced my drinks with water and he didn't. He came over to try and defuse the situation too, however he was very tipsy and a bit wobbly. He found me crying my eyes out, being yelled at by this power-mad manager, and tried to find out the problem, and she stated that our dancing was out of order so we weren't allowed on the dance floor again. He asked if she was going to speak to / do anything about the couple who had been spouting their disability abuse towards me, and she said no. So I asked for a drink instead, and then we would leave as there was not much point staying if we couldn't enjoy ourselves. Power-hungry bitch decided nope, no more drinks for us. She said, I'm not speaking to them. If you're not comfortable, you're welcome to leave. You aren't barred, but I won't serve you any more this evening. So we decided to leave. We had been there about an hour and a half, so it was getting close to midnight, but we didn't want to celebrate New Year in that pub anymore. I opened the door and my husband followed out behind me. Then I decided to wait outside while he ran back in for a quick wee. He was quick and we were soon on our way home. The next day I emailed the pub as they had made it perfectly clear that standing up for disabled rights was not part of their inclusive atmosphere, as it states on their website. My email was polite but thorough, explaining the whole situation from start to finish, not missing a detail, as like I said, I was a bit tipsy but nowhere near drunk, so nothing slipped my mind. I waited a week and got no response whatsoever. Now this is where I fricked up. A friend suggested I contact the local newspaper and call out the pub for their choice to allow discrimination and disability abuse on their premises. I did this, and my God did it backfire. Firstly, the pub responded to my email after being contacted by the newspaper and told us we were barred from the entire chain. When we questioned why, they said it was a decision made by management, but wouldn't give us a reason for the decision. Then just before the news story went out, the reporter emailed me saying the pub had accused us of causing extensive property damage. I told them this wasn't true as we left the pub and I cried all the way home. We were home in less than 5 minutes so that we could get ready to ring in the new year together. I also emailed the pub with my full details and said if I had caused extensive property damage, to please have the police contact me or send me proof and a bill, and I would happily pay for the damage to be repaired. Again, this email got ignored. The major backfire was that the news story ended up with thousands of comments. So instead of having one person giving me abuse on New Year's Eve, I now had thousands of comments saying the nastiest shit I'd ever seen. I had to stop reading after a while because I sank into a very deep, dark suicidal depression. The newspaper emailed me asking if they could put the story out nationally as it had gotten such a massive response. Great for them, terrible for me. I politely told them no as it was having a negative effect on my mental health. But of course, I was ignored and it went national. Meaning I had to call my family and explain that the newspaper they all read was going to have a story about me in it. But please don't read the online comments as they were nasty and some were very vulgar. Some even claimed I smashed the door with my wheelchair when leaving, but I went past the next day to go to the shop and gave the pub a death glare. And there was no damage whatsoever. Also, my husband was behind me, so if I had somehow smashed the door, he would have been hit by glass. In the end, my husband had to confiscate and hide my medication for months, hide all the sharp knives, razors, etc. All thanks to one entitled bitch of a woman and some bad advice from a friend. My poor husband was on suicide watch for a very long time and had to give me my pills like a nurse. He's such a sweetheart. He looks after me so well no matter what the issue. I think it's great that your husband is so supportive and understanding. But I know how frustrating it can be when other people don't get it. I can't believe the woman in the pub brought it upon herself to call you out the way she did. Just because someone can dance and have a bit of fun doesn't mean they aren't disabled. This should be common knowledge. The managers of the pub are absolutely ridiculous too, and couldn't have handled the situation any worse. There should be no favoritism in a situation like this, and it shouldn't matter to the managers who is a regular customer, but they were very obviously biased against you. The bit that shocked me the most was the backlash you received online. I really believe that the majority of people would side with you as it's clear that you aren't the one in the wrong. Maybe take some time for yourself and try not to worry about this too much. Just remember that there are plenty of people out there who will support you. A Karen screams at me because my service dog goes against her religion and I should immediately get rid of him. Here's how it all went down. About 6 years ago, I decided to buy myself a sturdy watch for my birthday, which is after Christmas. Yes, I'm an after Christmas afterthought. Yes, I always got one present for Christmas and my birthday. That sucked. Anyway, I did my research and decided on a G-Shock watch. I wanted it in olive drab green, as I had been in the Army for a long time, and was a proud disabled Army veteran. Unfortunately, the only Macy's that had that color in stock was at a huge shopping mall that people in my area nicknamed Huge Dale. I called the store and told them to hold it for me and I would come and pick it up. So, with much trepidation, I packed my PTS service dog and my rollator and headed to the Macy's at Huge Dale. I suffer from depression, PTSD, and social anxiety disorder. That's why I have a service dog. My PTSD service dog, QB, wears a vest that has PTSD service dog on it in large reflective letters. She was wearing her vest. She always wears it when we go out, even though by law it's not necessary. So, I entered Macy's and noticed that the sales clerk by watches and fine jewelry was busy, so we decided to look around while waiting for it to be free, so we could pick up the watch. All of a sudden, I hear a wild banshee shriek near me in some foreign language that I didn't understand. There she was, a wild Karen, in an abaya and headscarf, gesturing at my dog and screaming. I'm like, what the heck? The only English Karen said was unclean, kill it, and she continued to scream. Then she tried to hit my dog. I backed away from her quickly so that she wasn't able to hit QB. I don't know if the jewelry sales clerk hit a panic button, but a whole lot of store people converged on us. The lady's husband came too. The husband, Kevin, began to yell too. He had their 2 kids with him, a boy and a girl. The little girl was also in an abaya and headscarf. A sales clerk who spoke their language tried to find out why they were upset and tried to explain that my dog was a service dog and could be in the store. According to their religion, dogs were unclean and couldn't be in stores, and they thought that my dog should be killed. Now, it takes a long time and over $10,000 to train a PTSD service dog, but because I'm a disabled Army veteran, I don't have to pay for the training. Under the ADA Act, QB had the right to be with me while I shopped. That's part of her job. Karen and Kevin continued to scream and yell and make a scene. Kevin tried to come towards us and hit my dog and was held back by security. By this time, I was very upset, shaking, and crying. 2 female Macy's employees just guided me gently and escorted me to a nice private lounge, where they got me some bottled water for me and QB. They let me cry and calm down. After I'd bawled my eyes out and calmed down with QB's help and the Macy's employees' help, I returned to the watch and fine jewelry area. There was a gentleman in a nice suit who introduced himself as the store manager. He apologized profusely for the incident. I asked him what happened to Karen and Kevin, and he said that the police were called because they had caused such a disturbance and they were banned from shopping at any Macy's stores. He also said that he closed down their Macy's credit card account. The store manager gave me a discount on the G-Shock watch and a gift card. I now shop online at Macy's since that incident. I suppose I could have gotten Karen's and Kevin's names from the police and filed a civil lawsuit, but I never did. It took me quite a few weeks and a lot of therapy to get over this incident, but I still wear the watch daily and love it. It just goes to show you that Karen's and Kevin's come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, race and religion, etc. Wow. OP, I'm so sorry this happened to you. This has to be the worst case of religious psycho Karen that we have seen on this channel so far. I mean, she even tried to hit your dog. I'm glad that the store manager was so understanding and helpful, and that you were able to get over the incident with the help of your dog and the Macy's employees. I'm also glad that you didn't pursue legal action against Karen and Kevin, but maybe I'm being too mean to Karen. Let me know in the comments what you think about this religious freak of a person. My homophobic mother hates my gay relationship, but demands to stay in my house because she's disabled. I'm morally conflicted and I need your help. Here's the situation. My mother is widowed, without many funds and suffering from heart failure, with an ejection fraction of less than 15% and a bunch of other stuff wrong with her. She isn't eligible for a transplant for a number of reasons, and at this point, according to optimistic doctors, she has another 10 years left. Before her diagnosis, she had a lot of money saved for retirement, but since then, to pay for all the medical expenses she has and her expensive meds on a monthly basis, she's had to sell her home and move in with me, her only child. So I've been letting her live with me rent-free for about 3 years now since she fell sick. Things have mostly been fine, but that's because I haven't been in a relationship during this time. I've had relationships in the past that would end because of my fear of my parents finding out, who were always extremely homophobic, especially my mom. My mom isn't homophobic with the excuse of religion. She just blatantly hates the entire LGBT movement and has said some incredibly hurtful things over the years without knowing I'm gay that have stuck with me all my life. She's also racist, but she's my mother, so I accepted her into my home because she didn't have anywhere else to go, as no extended family could or were willing to accommodate her. A few months ago, I met my current boyfriend. We'll call him Steve. I decide that I'll have some balls and tell my mom I'm gay and introduce Steve to her afterwards, judging by her reaction, since she literally lives with me. I thought just maybe she could sit and bear it and then find out for herself that her entire worldview is wrong after seeing us together for a while. Not only did she tell me she's disappointed in me and start crying about how she should have raised me better, she told me I was going to catch AIDS and die if I stay with him. I told her she has a month to find other living accommodations and that she can't stay here, and that I don't care where she goes as long as she gets out of my house. I said this quite calmly and gave her notice to find someplace. So I think I didn't do anything wrong, but other members of my family think that I've practically made my mother homeless, and since no one else wants to accommodate her, and she has no funds and a severe disability, she'll end up in a shelter. Honestly, it's not my problem anymore. I'm sick of sacrificing for her when she can't even accept me for who I am. So if she's homeless, she had it coming. But anyway, do you think I'm the asshole? I can't believe your mother reacted that way. This is definitely a tricky situation because I understand that you have a duty to care for your mother, but you also have a right to be happy in your own home. Personally, regardless of how close they are to me, I would not tolerate any form of homophobia in my home. OP, if you're watching this video, check out the comments and see if anybody has an idea of how you should proceed with your relationship with your mother from now on. Am I the asshole for absolutely despising my physically disabled brother? When I was 13, my parents had my younger brother. They only intended on having one child, me, but he was a happy surprise. The main reason they only wanted one child is because my mom is a Duchenne muscular dystrophy carrier and didn't want to risk having a boy and him having it. My brother was born and my mom started noticing signs when he was about 2, when he went on to be diagnosed with DMD. I'm now 20 and my brother is 7. My parents have always massively babied him. He has little to no discipline and does whatever he wants, and gets away with it because my parents don't want to spend the entire time they have with him telling he can't do things he wants to. I've never connected with him at all. It's an awkward age gap and we have absolutely nothing in common. As well as that, I went from being an only child for 13 years to having a brother that required a lot of extra attention, and I resented him for it during my teenage years. Over the past year or so, he has deteriorated greatly and a lot quicker than he was expected to. He can't walk and requires a wheelchair, which meant giving up my bedroom downstairs after 20 years of it being mine. In all honesty, I find it quite embarrassing having so much equipment for him in the house, so I rarely bring friends around. He's already started showing signs of heart deterioration, which means my parents are constantly worried and rarely have time for me. With the rate at which he's deteriorating, he's not expected to live past his teenage years. A few nights ago, I was doing some work for college. I'm a key worker, so I just got home from an 8-hour shift and was absolutely exhausted. I went downstairs with my laptop and my mom and brother were in the kitchen watching something. My mom asked me to watch him so she could go to the bathroom, and I, as a joke, said, "It's not like he can go anywhere. He's not strong enough to move his own wheelchair." And she told me off and left. I was trying to do work when my brother just kept asking me to do stuff with him. As I said, we don't have a relationship, and I was trying to do work, so I just ignored him. He kept pestering me and eventually said, "Why do you never spend time with me?" And I responded by telling him it was because I didn't like him. My mom walked back in that exact moment and grabbed my arm and pulled me upstairs before saying if I ever spoke to my brother like that again, she'd kick me out. I told her it's not like she noticed anyway because she never talks to me. We haven't spoken since, and apparently my brother's upset. Am I the asshole? I can't imagine what it's like to have a brother like that. I'm sorry your mom made you feel bad for saying how you really felt about him. It's not his fault he has muscular dystrophy, and if he wants to live his life feeling happy, that's totally up to him. If you don't want to be around someone all the time who doesn't do anything for himself and needs your help, that's totally fine. If you feel bad because of how much attention he gets, then maybe it would be a good idea to spend more time with him, or at least talk to him more often. It sounds like you guys could have a lot in common if you just got to know each other better. I think your brother is lucky because he has people who care about him and are willing to take care of him when he needs it. If you enjoyed these stories, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell. Check out the other videos on your screen right now. Otherwise, you're definitely the jerk.